Ian, thanks very much for being here. What's your impression of the digital festival so far?
The little I've seen, I think it's a fantastic contribution to bring the ecosystem of Zurich together and compare notes, compare best practices, and create this network that is so critical if we're going to move into a digital age and have a true win-win economy.
What advice would you give to Digital Switzerland?
I think Digital Switzerland is a fantastic initiative. I think to focus on a sort of core area of enabling technology to support the Swiss businesses and the startups to create new employment, new job opportunities, etc. is fantastic. I think what we shouldn't forget is the journey on digital has to have purpose. So why will digital enable us to do which things better? And then we have to have a focus to deliver against a purpose. Is it how do we make a sustainable food value chain? Is it how do we reduce energy consumption in industry by 30%? What are the key targets that each industry group can buy into to utilize Digital Switzerland? And I think the remaining part is to say competition is very, very important to make sure that the best rise to the top. And we should be open to competition, and we should collaborate and compete and accept that in our culture, to fail or to take risk is not really approved of. And I think we need to move to a point where we can experiment, we can compete, and if startups aren't brilliant, or the people are not really suited to driving and scaling startups, that they can step out, and that experience is seen like kind of an executive MBA when they go to look for jobs in future companies. So Digital Switzerland has a great role enabling, sense of purpose, competitive environment, and full support from us. I think my best business decision, let's see, I think it was the decision to move to Bühler, to take on a totally new challenge, to go down 50 times in scale, in turnover, to go from consumer-facing company to B2B, to a listed company, to a family company, because that enabled me to bring different skills, but also to learn a huge number of new skills, and then moving into a company that wants to adopt new technologies and wants to move faster than the market gives you a wonderful position as a CTO.
What advice would you give your younger self if you were to go back?
Well, that's a good question. I would take a very, very serious look at, do I stay on in academia? Do I start a company? Would I look at a corporate path? My learnings from my corporate career are fantastic and quite valuable, I find, to many startups. But I'd love to have done it. I'd love to have tried it, even if I wasn't successful, because the learning from that experience would be fantastic.
Now, you've started at Bühler 6 years ago. What were the key challenges in transforming a traditional engineering company or engineering-focused company into an innovative, agile company, so to speak?
Yeah, I think the advantage with Bühler is that it was the most innovative engineering company in its field, making solutions, technologies, moving into services, and was really ready to adopt new technologies and new approaches. I think the challenge always is to get everybody playing behind the same mission, the same goals, to open up what traditionally, if we think of how we train our engineers, is you must know the answer. You're expected to solve the problem. And to move to a little bit of the huge value in knowing who solves the problem and being able to access ideas outside and then bring commercial value from them. So this culture of risk, of being open, is the one that you have to really, really address, because otherwise you create silos. But then on the other side, if you have a company of technologists, they're curious, they love innovation, and they want to be the leader, then you have the motivation to achieve it.
And how do you mentioned the change of culture, the not being not being afraid of failure. How do you change a culture of a traditional company?
I think we have a company that experiments. So what we do is we celebrate experiments, we celebrate successes, we even celebrate failures where we've learned from them. We as an executive board have done the sort of stereotypical failure celebration in front of our key employees to say, look, we accept risk, as long as it's reasonable risk and the reward is potentially high, and we will help people to experiment. And we engage everybody in this process through wide-scale, bottom-up innovation sourcing and idea sourcing and acknowledgement and training and reward and the potential opportunity to go even and start these ideas up as companies. So we have a lot of different initiatives to show that we can manage risk and we accept risk.